did it. I did it! They said that I was crazy and that it couldn't be done, but look who's crazy now. A pair of open back headphones that have good bass.
Yo, get the speaker box loud, hitting that stuff till you hearing that sound.
Hey guys, these are the Philips Fidelio X2HRs. They're a model that's a couple of years old, but they're still relevant because they're kind of unique in the world of headphones at this price because they're open back and have a lot of bass. Now, in order to understand why that's impressive, you need to know a couple of things about headphones. So in general, all over-ear headphones can be sorted into two categories: closed back and open back. Closed back headphones have an enclosed shell over the drivers. Most consumer headphones are closed back headphones. Because of the closed shell, it maintains a lot of the sound pressure, so in general, closed back headphones have a lot more potential for bass. In contrast, open back headphones have an open shell that's open to the outside environment. This allows air to travel freely over the drivers. Now, this usually allows for the perception of a much larger soundstage and airy sound, but it's usually at the compromise of bass. The lack of bass is really just down to physics and hardware. And that's what makes these so impressive. These are open back, but the bass is incredible in terms of both quantity and quality. Now, I know that there are some audiophiles out there who are just rolling their eyes at this right now because V-shaped sound and bass boosted sound is not good sound, but guess what? This isn't a polite neutral pair of headphones. This is bold and something different. So you could just stop with your absolute bullshit. I'm just kidding. Most of my other headphones are neutral and balanced. I'm sorry for what I said. Now, before we start, yes, there is an updated version of these, the Fidelio X3s, but the general consensus is that those were such a big departure from the bass forward sound that made these so unique that they're basically just a different pair of headphones, not really a successor. So today we're just going to focus on these. Now, the unboxing experience is mostly unremarkable. Kind of a consumer electronic experience, but that never really bothers me. Now, the first impression that I got when I opened these is, my God, these are gigantic. There's just no way to wear these without it looking a little bit silly. Included is a 3-meter cable, a 1/4-inch adapter, and a cable management clip. So these things have 50mm drivers, which is kind of big. The frequency response is 5 Hz to 40,000 Hz, so there's plenty of headroom both ways. Impedance is 30 ohms and sensitivity is 100 dB at 1 milliwatt, so they're plenty easy to drive. Now, these aren't wireless or Bluetooth, so you do need to contend with the cable, and I'm just going to say it. This cable is just stupidly long. And now I know that these are meant for high-res listening, and I guess that just means that it has to be a long cable, but this cable is just so inconveniently long that including a 1.2 meter cable would have been nice, especially because this used to retail for $300. The cable management clip is kind of clunky and honestly kind of useless. Now, fortunately, that's where my gripes end with the physical attributes of these headphones. If you could get past the long cable, which you could actually just replace with a third-party cable, the rest is basically good news. Now, I never thought that I would describe a pair of headphones as being built like a tank or a brick house, but here we are. The construction is a mix of plastic and metal, and it's built really well. And as a result, it is kind of hefty, but the suspension system and the pads do keep it pretty comfortable. Clamp force is appropriately firm, not monstrously tight, and definitely not loose. And they're actually pretty comfortable to wear for long periods of time, although the pads do get a little bit warm after a little while. Speaking of the pads, they are replaceable, but you do need to get some that have the proprietary clipping system. And it all comes together into a set of headphones that I think look really, really good. They kind of look like grottos that went to the gym. And then the grottos met that one shady character who kind of hangs out in the back a little bit too much, goes to that guy's trunk. That guy sells him some steroids. They kind of look like that. And then once you get them onto your head, they just kind of look a bit comically large. Now let's get into the sound because that's the most important part about headphones. Overall, these are warm, V-shaped, and bass heavy. It's a very safe tuning for general consumer use. However, something to understand is that when you start to turn up one frequency band in a pair of headphones, you inevitably start to cause some compromises, and in this case, it's the mids, details, and imaging. We'll get into all those specifics now. Now, all the songs that I talk about can be found in the Audiophile Arcade and Bass Testers playlists linked below. I'm going to use 4 words to describe the bass: beefy, controlled, immersive, and commanding. Bass is the X2HR strong suit, and it's not just a lot, it's good. There's a lot of beefiness in the satisfying frequencies, but you still get quite a bit of roll off in the sub frequencies, and that's very characteristic of most open back headphones. Now, usually when you turn up the bass a lot, you start to sacrifice a lot of detail in the bass. This is kind of the distinction between bass quantity and bass quality. In this case, you only make minimal to moderate sacrifices in bass detail and bass quality. So in a very bass forward song like Equal by Odessa, you could hear all of the low end detail with the kick and the synths, but that song is also a perfect demonstration of what you start to sacrifice with bass heavy headphones. A lot of the details like the squiggly synths and the percussion leading up to the drop kind of get pushed back and almost lost. But man, these command the bass so nicely. Like the drop of the Skrillex remix of Humble is just so in your face, and it's hard to recreate that kind of listening experience of those types of songs with headphones that have subdued low ends. Now, 2 songs that do a wonderful job of just enveloping you with sound, especially beautiful bass, are The World Can Wait by Michael FK and The Sound of Rain by Sapphires. And the bass forwardness of these headphones is just the way to listen to those songs. The warmth just gives the sound a body that you just can't achieve with neutral or flat headphones. My wife describes the experience as almost being hugged and comforted by the bass. When it comes to bass, this is the way. Now in songs like Bad Guy and Oxytocin by Billie Eilish, the bass really does start to compete pretty hard with the vocals. The body of the vocals kind of just gets pushed back behind the low end, and this just brings me to the next part, the mids. Now, if everything that I just mentioned in the bass just does not sound appealing to you, unfortunately the rest of this review is just going to be downhill from here. The inevitable compromise of boosting the bass in headphones is that the mids will start to become recessed or pushed back. It's basically a law of the universe. Even though you still have a lot of air because of the boosted high end, female vocals just still become a bit weak and unimpressive. So in songs with very prominent vocals like Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks' voice just kind of gets pushed back behind the bass and the kick, and for songs like that, that's just not the performance that you're really looking for. And it's kind of the same story with a bunch of other songs by Lorde, Pink Floyd, Billie Eilish. Vocals are just not really in your face the way that they are with Sennheisers and AKGs. Mids, mid details, vocals, and instrument separation outside of bass is just not the strong suit of these headphones. If there's anything to be said about the mids here, something about it just seems a bit hollow and lacking magic. But again, if you're going for a pair of headphones that have a lot of bass, this is the inevitable compromise. Now, things do kind of come back up for the treble, but not to the extent of the bass. There are nice levels of air and clarity in the high end and treble, but not to the point that I would really call these resolving headphones. There is still a little bit of sacrifice in detail because of how solid the low end is, but it's not a bad performance. If anything, I would call these kind of a middle of the road performance for the treble. Because there is an adequate boost in air, the high end does start to sort of make up for the lack of body in female vocals, but it does not replace the magic of more neutral and balanced headphones. Now I know it kind of seems like I'm just piling on the bad news because I am, and unfortunately there's more. The sacrifice in detail also leads to a bit of a sacrifice in imaging. While I wouldn't categorize it as bad, there are better headphones out there for soundstage and imaging. But these are still adequate, if above average, for these attributes. Now for what it's worth for gaming, even though I don't game a whole lot, I have played Call of Duty on these, and when I wear these, I do perform a little bit better than I usually do, so there's that. The soundstage is just not what I would call vast or elegant. So these are very much bass forward headphones, so you inevitably sacrifice on the mids, details, and imaging. But There's just something about the bass that's controlled and commanding of your attention. If you feel like that there's just been something lacking in the low end in your current pair of headphones and you want more of not just quantity but an emotive expression of bass, these are it. Now personally, the reason why I got this pair of headphones is that they're completely different from all the other headphones that I have and really fills a gap in my collection. I enjoy a wide variety of genres and sometimes I just want to experience the intended sound of the music. Hip hop, EDM, and pop all tend to be very bass forward genres and I feel like you just lose something when you don't allow the bass to fully bloom. Now it's easy to dismiss a pair of headphones like this, especially in the audiophile space, because there's that weird stigma against V-shaped and bass boosted sound. But if all we ever collected were flat and neutral headphones, everything is just going to sound the same and everything is just going to be a sidestep in quality and character. So who are these for? If you're a basshead who wants to explore open back headphones and understand the natural sacrifices of open back and bass boosted headphones, you'll probably enjoy these. Now, if you're a basshead and a gamer and you're looking for an all-in-one headphone that could do both, these are basically made for you. Now for everybody else, for what it's worth, these do take EQ really well, so they could potentially sound incredible. If you're willing to go through the trouble, I'll leave a link to the EQ settings in the description below. So at the price that you could typically find these for, which is under $150, these are a pretty good value for those who are specifically looking for the sound characteristics that these offer. Honestly, I just can't believe that these used to retail for $300. At that price, it would be a much harder sell. Understanding how these sound now, I would have never bought them at that price. So, is the Philips Fidelio X2HR an outdated and irrelevant headphone today? In my opinion, no. Like I mentioned earlier, the X3 is such a departure from the sound that made the X2HR such a popular and unique headphone that it's not really a successor to the line, but it's just a completely different pair of headphones. So if you're looking for a unique, bass forward, open back pair of headphones with a low end that demands your attention, these are it. Anyways, that's it for me for today. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and sometimes bass is the way.